Welcome everyone. I'm here to discuss the December 16 ban and restricted announcement that just came out earlier today. I was busy at work earlier today, so I haven't got a chance to do this video, and it's been roughly, a little more than half a day since the announcement. So I've had a little bit of time, I guess, to think about it. The two cards that were banned are Psychic Frog and Vexing Bauble. For those of you who play a lot of Legacy, I don't think either of those should come as a surprise. The reasoning here is shouldn't be too surprising. Psychic Frog listed as restricting diversity, namely in terms of blue tempo shells. The other card is Vexing Bauble, being a proactive colorless, which is I think the important part, because before you had to pay either white mana for silence, green mana for Veil of Summer, or black mana for discard to clear the way for combo decks, and this being a 1 mana colorless way to do so kind of breaks the color pod. Not to mention the ability to cycle itself is makes it always have a high floor. I think obviously the decks that get hit the most are like Mystic Forge, as that relied on clearing the way to go off early, and as evidenced by its 3 top 8 placings in the Eternal Weekend in North America. Psychic Frog, I actually think, is the mid-range plan for Reanimator, but probably doesn't hurt that strategy as much as probably losing Vexing Bauble for Mystic Forge. I'm going to go ahead and just make my predictions as to what decks I think benefit the most, short and long term as a result. Here's a quick 30-day snapshot just straight from MTG Goldfish. I think Reanimator will still be very good personally. I don't know how much, if at all, it will drop the meta share, maybe a little bit. I do think the tempo decks can maybe explore red again for Lightning Bolt and Dragon's Rage Channeler. So I can see iterations being popular again, and then even last Eternal Weekend Rug splashing for the questing druid, but maybe that's obsolete now. I think personally, the decks that gain the most. Actually, let's start with what is soft unbanned now as a result of Vexing Bauble being banned. I think those are like the Storm decks that were pretty much had an uphill fight, because it's like you're facing main deck hate game 1. So those decks probably re-emerge, maybe Cascade to a certain extent. But I think those decks still inevitably get shut down from the Ancient Tomb decks, specifically Moonstompy and Eldrazi. And the fact that Eldrazi wins the mirror due to Blood Moon, I think the big winner to me is Moonstompy. Some players probably will mention that Nadu becomes the more popular combo deck going forward if Mystic Forge can't stick around. I think that is actually another reason why Moonstompy gets a nice boost, because it attacks a 3-color mana base, sometimes even 4 if they're splashing black for Gris with their Blood Moon effects. Not to mention Fury lines up very well against a lot of these mana dorks, especially the elf version that is playing a little bit more more susceptible to these Fury / Pyrokinesis effects. The other deck, I guess, would be the Cephalid Breakfast deck, but I do think because Graveyard Hate becomes a little bit, or Red Blast in particular becomes a little bit better, that could be a reason why Nadu may not be as dominant as some people think. We'll see. I haven't thought about it too much yet. The the short story is I do think the decks that were already good will probably continue being good, and I don't really believe too many, if any, decks that were not popular or not doing well will manage to, come out as a result of these two bannings. I think more or less you know what the good decks are, and while their profiles, matchup profiles may change a little bit, I don't think much changes in the grand scheme of things. As for Cradle, I think my short takeaway is it may not do well near term if it runs into too many Storm decks, because the Storm Bros are going to be out. But I think long term, it's probably benefits from this ban announcement, because it probably has a better Reanimator matchup going forward, because it doesn't have to worry about the Frog game plan as much. If they replace with Bowmasters, I don't think Cradle really cares. And in fact, probably helps the Cradle matchup, helps the matchup a lot. Red Stompy, I think, will probably help from a meta perspective and a matchup perspective, because we've largely, I think, solved the matchup with Sylvan Safekeeper plus either Cub or Keen Eye Curator, or just some big creature, right? Like Water the Welcry, for instance, as well. The other thing Red Stompy does is, I do think it's going to force some other decks to adapt in ways that will eat up sideboard slots, and I don't think Cradle is necessarily affected as much by it. But that's just my quick thoughts. Let me know what you think, and if there's any way to improve these kind of videos in the forward, I look forward to doing so. Thank you, and appreciate you taking the time to do so.